I realize you search for formulas, steps, mantras, mechanical repetitions, like someone trying to crack a locked safe. But manifestation isn't a trick. It's a code, and this code isn't learned. It's remembered. It's hidden behind two words the world pronounces every day, but almost no one truly understands. I am. These two words are the portal between the invisible and the visible. They are the sound of creation in its purest form. When you say I am, you are lighting the flame of being, and everything that follows these words takes form, whether light or shadow. Spoken in ignorance, they imprison you within your own illusion. Spoken with consciousness, they move the universe to your obedience. That's why I tell you, do not say I am until you hear it first. Because when you utter these words, you are not describing what you see, you are decreeing what will be. Every time you affirm something about yourself, you are writing a sentence into the fabric of reality. I am poor. I am forgotten. I am unlucky. Each of these phrases is an order perfectly executed by the substance of the world, and the world, obedient as a shadow, merely follows the outline of your inner state. Most people live reacting to what they perceive, without realizing that what they perceive is merely a reflection of something old, a sustained thought, a nurtured fear, a contradictory desire. Everything that exists externally is a delayed consequence of something already accepted within you. There are no exceptions. The love that comes and goes, the prosperity that slips away, the success that delays, everything is the echo of what you believed yourself to be. You create, consciously or unconsciously, every detail of the scenario you find yourself in. So today I haven't come to teach you to ask. I've come to remind you that you are the creative center. That power isn't in repeating words, but in embodying the state these words evoke. When you say I am, you are calling into existence everything that corresponds to that vibration. And if you do so without consciousness, the universe creates in chaos. But when you do so with clarity, with feeling, with inner mastery, the invisible bows, time accelerates and circumstances align in silence. The I am is the key that opens and closes worlds. And every time you utter this key, the universe responds, so be it. Therefore guard your words. Do not waste them on lamentations nor confine them to small definitions. Before you say I am, quiet the noise, observe your heart and ask, what am I being now? Because what you are being is what the world will return to you. There is no tomorrow in the law of consciousness, only the now. The I am does not describe what exists, it decides what will exist. Today, if you choose to understand this, something within you will shift its axis. You will cease to be a victim of the mirror and become the sculptor of the image. The I am will cease to be a phrase and will become the silent center of your power. And when this happens, you will realize that instant manifestation is not a supernatural event. It is merely the world's natural obedience to your assumed identity. Do not seek formulas, seek presence. Do not ask to see. Be what you wish to see. And when you finally say I am, let these two words echo not from your mouth but from your being, like a silent decree that the universe dares not disobey. The world is blind. You are its eyes. This sentence is not poetry. It is the structure of existence. Life does not observe man, it replicates him. Everything around you is a faithful dramatization of what you are seeing within yourself. The problem is that almost no one sees with the eyes of consciousness. Most perceive with the eyes of fear, comparison, limitation. And what is seen in that way is created. If you see yourself as small, the world will diminish you. If you see yourself betrayed, the world will betray you. If you see yourself defeated, everything around you will organize to confirm that defeat. Life is neither fair nor unfair, it is exact. It does not think, question, or decide on its own. It merely reflects with mathematical precision what is being assumed within you. He who understands this ceases to react and begins to direct. The human masses react to the mirror, trying to correct the reflection without touching their face. They want to change circumstances, others, destiny, but remain trapped in the same self-image. They seek externally for a remedy for a wound opened in the invisible. They do not realize that the world is not convinced by words but by states. And as long as you remain the same, nothing can be different, no matter how much you ask, try, or cry. The reflection only changes when what projects it changes. The world is the echo of your identity, but there is a secret here, a silent power few dare to use. The instant you decide to see yourself differently, the world begins, however imperceptibly, to reorganize itself. You do not need to fight with old forms, simply stop sustaining them with your attention. What is not fed dies. What you no longer believe yourself to be dissolves before your eyes like a mirage. Therefore, the awakened person does not fight evil, does not defend against injustices, does not fear obstacles. They understand that everything is a projection, and that power is always at the point of origin, within themselves. They know it is not the scenery that changes the character, it is the character that changes the scenery. Begin to realize that every person who crosses your path, every event, every apparent coincidence, is merely your consciousness playing out before you. The arrogant person who offends you is the mirror of your doubt. The love that abandons you is the reflection of your need. The success that ignores you is the consequence of your disbelief. Everything that happens to you is a symbolic form of what you accept as truth. And this is not punishment, it is mercy. Because if everything is a reflection, everything can be recreated. When you understand that the world is your obedient mirror, you will see that there are no enemies or luck, only states that manifest. So, no longer ask, "Why did this happen to me?" Ask, "What within me believed this was possible?" Because the moment you assume total responsibility for your vision, you free yourself. Power returns to your hands, creation returns to its source, and in that moment, the world ceases to be a prison and becomes a canvas. From then on, every thought is a brush, every feeling a color, and every I am a form emerging on the stage of your experience. Therefore, do not wait for the world to see you first. See yourself. Do not ask it to understand you. Understand yourself. Stop saying, "One day I will be," and be now, because life is blind, and if you do not guide it with inner vision, it will follow what it finds, your fear, your doubt, your old memory. But if you dare to see as one who already is, the world will have no choice but to reflect your greatness. Do not seek signs, be the sign. This is the difference between the person who creates and the person who waits. The former acts from inner certainty, the latter begs for external confirmations. Most people live looking at the sky, seeking some indication that things will finally change. A repeating number, a dream, a coincidence. But these signs create nothing. They merely follow the trail of an already assumed state. The universe does not speak to those who doubt. It obeys those who have already decided. What is called instant manifestation is not the world responding to you. It is the world bowing before a mind that has stopped asking, "When?" He who seeks signs is still confessing that he does not believe. He waits for something outside himself to convince him of what he himself should sustain. But the law does not work that way. While you wait to see in order to believe, life will keep you in that cycle, like an infinite hall of mirrors reflecting your indecision. Nothing moves until you become the fixed point, the central sign, the living symbol of what you desire. What the ancients called faith was not hope. It was posture. Faith is not waiting for the sea to part. It is walking on it as one who already knows the ground will support them. When the invisible becomes more real than the visible world is forced to bend. This is not magic. It is hierarchy. The invisible is the mold, the visible, the result. The common person tries to manipulate the result, changes jobs, changes cities, changes people, but remains the same within themselves. The awakened one, on the contrary, changes the mold. They close their eyes and live the state before the state takes form. They become the sign of what is to come, and for this reason the is to come is forced to come. It is at this point that many fail, because they confuse desire with decision. To desire is to wait for something to happen. To decide is to act as if it has already happened. Desire implores, decision commands, and the universe does not understand pleading, it understands command. When you decide that you already are, when you begin to think, react, and feel from that state, The invisible moves in silence, and the visible, like an obedient servant, begins to adjust. Sometimes slowly, sometimes abruptly, but always with precision. Doubt, however, is the thief of creation. Every time you look at the world and say, "It hasn't changed yet," you are undoing the previous order. The person who seeks signs becomes a slave to time, because they measure faith by results. But the one who is the sign lives outside of time. They do not need to see to know, they know and therefore they see. They do not chase after evidence, they become the evidence. They are the living proof that the invisible has already been fulfilled. Thus, no longer ask, "When will it be?" Because when is an illusion for those who still believe in the distance between desire and realization. Everything is already created. It merely waits for you to claim it. So lift your head and decide. Be the sign of what you want to see. Walk as if you have already arrived. Speak as if you already have. Feel as if you already live. And you will see the world rush to meet you, because the entire universe bows before one who already is. Your inner voice is God's workshop. It is not what you say to others that shapes destiny, but what you whisper to yourself when no one is listening. The words that circulate in your mind, the silent conversations you have before sleeping, the answers you give in thought to fears and desires, all of this is creation in motion. People believe they pray when they speak with their lips, but true prayer is the internal dialogue that never ceases. It is there in the invisible that reality is forged, word by word, tone by tone. Every sustained thought is a form being sculpted. When you say, even in silence, "I can't," and "this is hard," when no one notices me, you are dictating decrees. The universe does not distinguish between what you want and what you deny. It merely obeys what you accept as real. Every inner whisper is a seed cast into the fertile ground of consciousness, and every seed germinates according to its kind. Whoever thinks of scarcity reaps scarcity. Whoever thinks of abundance reaps opportunities. Whoever thinks of love attracts love. And whoever thinks of fear manifests fear itself. This is why most people create what they do not desire, because they do not guard the sound of their own mind. They spend the day saying, "I want this," but spend the night saying, "What if it doesn't work out?" The universe does not respond to desire. It responds to conviction. And conviction is measured by what you say to yourself when the world is silent. There is no deceiving the law, because it operates on the frequency of your being, not on your words. The awakened person understands that inner dialogue is the true temple of creation. It is there that they decide the tone of everything that is to come. Therefore, they speak to themselves as one speaks to the Creator himself, because they are. They do not allow themselves fearful answers. They do not repeat phrases of doubt. They transform every thought into a decree, every mental image into an order. If the external world tries to contradict them, they do not argue. They merely return to silence and reaffirm, "I am." And the conscious repetition of this state begins to move forces that the eyes do not see, but the heart recognizes. Begin to realize, then, that life treats you the same way you treat yourself in thought. If you judge yourself unworthy, it will exclude you. If you see yourself as small, it will ignore you. But if you see yourself as the creative center, it will serve you. What you say to the world has little power compared to what you say to yourself. True authority is born within, and when the internal sound changes, the external echo must change as well. Therefore, observe what you are building in silence. Listen to the voice that guides your reactions, your expectations, your memories. This voice is the hammer and chisel of your reality. Everything it affirms with emotion takes form. Learn to discipline it. Speak to yourself as you would speak to God, because it is precisely to Him that you are speaking. He who masters inner dialogue masters the world. Because the inner voice is the point where the invisible becomes word, and the word becomes flesh. Guard this with reverence. Your mind is the workshop of creation, and your word the decree of the universe. So say nothing more against yourself, even in thought. Shape the sound within you until everything you hear is consistent with what you wish to be. And you will see, effortlessly, the world bend to the sound of your inner voice. True power is stillness. Few understand this because the world has taught that strength is movement, that victory is noise, that conquest is haste. But haste is the disguise of fear, and noise is the disguise of doubt. The one who has truly discovered the I am does not need to chase anything, they remain. Because one who already is does not pursue. One who already has does not beg. One who already knows simply observes the inevitable unfold before them. Stillness is not inertia, it is mastery. It is the silence of one who governs from within. The common person shouts their intentions to the universe, trying to convince themselves that they believe. The awakened one, on the contrary, speaks little, not because they repress themselves, but because they kinda know that the silent decree is more powerful than 1,000 words spoken with anxiety. They do not ask the world to change. They simply position themselves as one who already lives in the desired state, and the world, without resistance, bows to confirm this posture. Stillness is the point where the visible dissolves into the invisible. When the mind ceases the frantic movement of wanting to control results, the hidden power, which has always been there, begins to act. There is no effort, because effort is a sign that you still believe in the distance between yourself and what you desire. And this belief is the only obstacle. The person who tries to manifest by force is like someone shaking a mirror, expecting the image to smile first. The one who understands the law simply, smiles, and the reflection accompanies them. It is in this state of stillness that imagination becomes creative, because when the inner noise quiets, the sustained image gains clarity. There is no longer interference, no longer doubt. Consciousness speaks with clarity, and matter obeys. It is at this point that manifestation becomes instantaneous, not because something new was created, but because you finally got out of the way. The power has always been with you, but your haste stifled it. Silence does not create the miracle. It merely allows the miracle which already existed to appear. Most people fear silence because in it there is no distraction. There is confrontation. It is there that you realize that everything around you is merely the reflection of what you sustain within yourself. And for many, this is an unbearable sight. But the awakened one does not flee. They face the void and fill it with their presence. They know that true rest is not surrender, it is trust. And this trust creates an irresistible magnetism. People, opportunities, paths, and coincidences begin to move around the one who remains serene. Stillness is the throne of the I am. It is the place where the king does not need to prove they reign. They simply are. And everything around them organizes itself according to their vibration. Therefore, when fear tries to push you into haste, remember, movement is not a sign of progress. Sometimes what moves is just doubt trying to appear as action. Learn to remain. Learn to quiet the inner noise that says, not yet. When the body is still and the mind rests in the state of being, the world bows, and everything comes, not because it was sought, but because it was ordered by peace. This is true authority, not that of the shout, but that of the silence that knows. And when a person reaches this point, they cease to act to create and begin to exist as the creation already completed. Everything that is theirs will find them, because the entire universe recognizes the vibration of one who no longer waits, of one who already is. Silence the beggar, awaken the king. The time has come to stop pleading for the world to hear you and begin to command, in silence, for it to obey. Because the world does not respond to your despair, it responds to your state. Every tear you shed asking for change was merely a confession that you have not yet remembered who you are. You were not created to ask. You were created to decree. The I am is not a plea. It is an eternal authority. And one who pronounces it with consciousness moves laws that are beyond time, logic, and probability. Nothing needs to come to you, because everything is already yours at the level of being. What separates you from what you desire is not time. It is your refusal to assume the state now. Every second you wait, you delay the inevitable. The universe does not understand future, only the present, and in the present, only what you accept as real exists. If you accept lack, it repeats itself. If you accept fear, it feeds itself. But if you accept plenitude as fact, even if your eyes see the opposite, the invisible begins to work in your favor with a precision the intellect will never comprehend. Those who live asking for confirmation will never see the miracle. Because the miracle does not happen later. It reveals itself when one ceases movement and how becomes weak at what they sought. When you say I am without hesitation, without effort, with the serenity of one who knows, the entire world begins to adjust to reflect that decree. And there is no power, person, or obstacle capable of preventing the fulfillment of what has been assumed with total conviction. The beggar lives looking at the sky, waiting for something to fall. The king knows that the sky is within them. They do not wait for the sun to rise. They shine first, imprison, and the universe, which is merely a mirror, lights up in response. This is what humanity has forgotten. Power is not in praying for change, but in embodying change. So, from now on, let every word of yours be measured, every thought observed, every feeling chosen. No longer say I am unconsciously, like one reacting to pain or fear. Say I am with the calmness of one who commands. Say it as one who knows that the forces of the universe bow before awakened consciousness, because one who truly pronounces I am does not create the future. They reveal the eternal present of their being. And when you reach this point, there will be no more struggle, no more seeking, no more waiting. There will only be presence. The world will be your reflection, and you the reflection of God. So silence the beggar, awaken the king, and let your silence command what words could never achieve. Pause for a moment. Silence the noises coming from outside, and even more so, the turmoil coming from within. Because it is in this silence that truth reveals itself. Everything you've been taught about quantum manifestation may sound appealing, but most people have misunderstood it completely. They talk about energy, they talk about vibration, they talk about attracting what you want, but they continue to operate from a mind of fear, a mind that seeks to control, measure, demand, prove. And this mind never manifests anything because it doesn't create, it reacts. The error begins when the invisible is turned into a technique, the mystery into a ritual. People repeat phrases, perform visualizations, light mental candles for the universe, expecting something outside to reward them for their faith. But the universe is not a separate entity. It is an extension of your own state of consciousness. Everything that happens out there is merely the projected shadow of what you hold within. If there is scarcity in the world, it is because consciousness still vibrates with lack. If there is delay, it is because the inner self still doubts. This is why manifestation seems not to work. Because it wasn't made to function. It was made to reveal. It reveals what you truly believe yourself to be. When you say, I want, the field responds, you want. When you say, I have, the field responds, you have. The quantum field does not interpret words, it merely replicates frequencies. And what I see most are people trying to create prosperity from desperation, love from need, healing from the fear of pain. They think of light but feel darkness, and the universe responds to vibration, not intention. The truth is that the physical world is merely a theater, and consciousness is the playwright. Nothing you do with your hands changes the plot if the script within your mind remains the same. Manifestation fails because the actor wants to change the play without changing the character. They want wealth with a poor person's mindset. They want love with a wounded heart. They want freedom, but fear losing control. They want quantum results, but think in a linear fashion. Meanwhile, the universe awaits one single thing: coherence. That the inner self and external behavior speak the same language. That feeling and thought align, because when the I am becomes stable, the world bends. And when the world bends, humanity realizes it was never a victim. It was always a creator. Therefore, before attempting to manifest anything, remember, it's not about making it work. It's about remembering who you are. The power is not in the technique, but in the consciousness that sustains it. Quantum manifestation is not a magic trick you perform. It is the inevitable reflection of the state you inhabit. And when you truly understand this, there will be no more how to make it work, because what is true already is. The first error in quantum manifestation is believing that thought, by itself, holds power. This is one of the greatest spiritual illusions of our time. People strive to think positively, repeat phrases like mantras, collect affirmations, and try to convince the rational mind that something will change, but the heart continues to vibrate with fear, doubt, and absence. And that's where everything collapses. Thought is merely the surface of the ocean. True power lies in the depths, in the emotional and vibrational state that sustains that thought. You can say, "I am prosperous" 1,000 times, but if deep down you feel you are not, the universe will only hear the feeling. Because energy does not understand words, it understands frequencies. When someone thinks of wealth while vibrating poverty, they are emitting the energetic signature of lack. And the quantum field, which is perfect in its neutrality, returns exactly what was emitted. More situations that confirm the feeling of absence. This is why so many give up on manifestation. They think it didn't work, when in fact it worked perfectly, merely reflecting the inner state of scarcity that was sustained more strongly than the positive thought. The universe is not moved by what you want, but by what you accept as true about yourself. To think is an act of the mind, to feel is an act of the being, and creation comes from the being, not from mental effort. That's why imagining something without emotion is like trying to light the sun with a flashlight. Imagination needs to be clothed in feeling, with the living touch of inner reality. When you feel so intensely that something is already yours, the field doesn't distinguish if it's real or mental. It responds to the vibration as a fait accompli. True manifestation begins when thought and feeling become one. But most people still think like energetic beggars. They want to attract something because they believe they don't have it. They desire love because they feel lonely. They desire money because they fear scarcity. They desire healing because they believe they are sick. And desire, when born from lack, reinforces the very lack. It's like saying, "I want to leave the desert," while reaffirming, "I am in the desert." Nothing changes until the state changes. Therefore, the secret is not to desire more strongly, but to accept yourself as different. Stop seeking and start assuming. True quantum manifestation happens when you exchange "I want" for "I am." When you stop trying to think something and start feeling yourself as it. It's a silent yet profound movement. You no longer affirm what you desire, you embody the outcome. And at that instant, effortlessly, the vibration aligns with what is already rightfully yours. The physical world, which has always been slow, begins to rearrange its pieces, because the field obeys inner certainty as the tide obeys the moon. As long as you keep trying to think to convince the universe, it will continue to show you the reflection of doubt. But when you truly feel it, when your body, mind, and emotion are in unison with the conviction that it already is, the universe bends. And not out of blind obedience, but because you have become coherent with the law. It is at this point that thought ceases to be a request and transforms into a command. Because when the being assumes the vibration of what it wants, the quantum field responds with perfection. So be it. The second error in quantum manifestation is the obsession with time and results. Most people say they trust, but they are always looking at the universe's clock, impatient, trying to rush the invisible. They want to plant today and harvest tomorrow, and in doing so, without realizing it, they constantly affirm absence. Because every act of seeing if it worked is a declaration that it hasn't happened yet. And as long as this feeling of waiting exists, the quantum field continues to reflect exactly that. Waiting. Time, in the plan of manifestation, is not the same as clock time. Spiritual time is not measured in minutes or days. It is measured by the intensity of the inner state. A shift in consciousness can compress years of experience into a single moment of realization. But the human mind, conditioned to haste and control, doesn't understand this. It believes there's a linear sequence: first think, then wait, then receive, and that's why the process drags on. Because time is not outside. It is created within consciousness itself. Those who believe something is still missing create the time of lack. Those who feel they already have it dissolve time completely. Impatience is the disguise of doubt, and doubt is the poison of creation. It's like planting a seed and pulling it from the earth every hour to see if it has germinated. Many do this with their own manifestation. They observe, analyze, compare, question. Why hasn't it come yet? What am I doing wrong? When will it happen? And each question pushes the desired reality further away. The field responds to the vibration of certainty, not the vibration of anxiety. The correct approach is to rest in conviction, to know that the request has been heard, not because someone outside listened, but because consciousness has already assumed the state of the outcome. When this happens, time ceases to matter. You no longer wait for tomorrow, because you are already living the vibration of what you desire today. And this is what breaks the cycle of waiting. The universe can only deliver what you already feel you possess. Those who understand the law know that patience is not passivity, it is trust in motion. While the impatient observes the field, the trusting one inhabits the outcome. They do not ask when, because when is now. They do not ask for signs, because the greatest sign has already occurred within them, the change of state. When the mind rests and the heart is secure, time folds. Reality begins to adjust so naturally that it seems like coincidence, but it is not. It is a response. Quantum manifestation does not demand haste. It demands certainty. Time is only an obstacle for those who doubt the seed. When the inner state is stable, time becomes a servant, not a master, and everything that was distant begins to draw near, not by force, but by coherence. This is how the invisible becomes inevitable, not because you waited anxiously, but because you learned to rest in the truth. What is already yours does not need to be rushed, only recognized. The third error is separating the spiritual from the everyday, as if manifestation only happens during moments of meditation, reading, or silence. Many become spiritual masters for 10 minutes and then immediately revert to being slaves to appearances. They spend the morning affirming abundance and the rest of the day complaining about bills. They close their eyes to visualize and open them to doubt. This division destroys creative power because the quantum field doesn't respond to what you do in isolation, but to what you are all the time. The universe is not impressed by occasional spiritual practices. It bends to coherence. Most believe that manifesting is a ritual, something done at a specific moment. But what truly creates is not the instant of the technique. It is the constancy of the vibration. The universe does not react to what you do in 1 minute of faith, but to what you sustain during hours of distraction. It is in the small daily reactions, in the way you speak, think, and feel in the face of life, that your energetic field is shaped. And this is what creates your reality. When you live in fear, even while praying for faith, fear is what manifests. When you live in complaint, even while giving thanks on paper, complaint is what vibrates loudest. Separating the spiritual from the everyday is like turning on a light and immediately turning it off again. The field needs continuity, a stable vibration, not momentary impulses. Therefore, manifestation is not an exercise, it is a style of consciousness. It is a way of being in the world. What is asked for is not perfection, but coherence. Feeling prosperous while living a simple routine, acting with love even when the world incites hatred, remaining calm even when everything seems to be falling apart. This is not pretending. It is sustaining a truth deeper than appearances. When you begin to live in an integrated way, the spiritual and the material cease to be opposites. The act of cooking, walking, paying a bill, or hugging someone becomes an extension of your inner vibration. You begin to perceive that every daily gesture is a prayer in motion. Manifestation is not in the sacred moment. It is in your gaze, your words, your choice to maintain your state, even when no one is watching. The secret is the continuity of being. Because while many try to manifest with effort, the true creator manifests with naturalness. They do not force reality, they allow it. They do not say, "I'm trying to believe." They live as one who already knows. And when life tries to contradict this knowing, they smile, because they understand that the physical world is merely the delayed reflection of an old state, which is already being replaced by the new. When the spiritual blends with the everyday, there are no more boundaries. You do not practice manifestation. You become manifestation itself. Every word aligns with your consciousness. Every action vibrates in tune with the state you have chosen to sustain. And at this point, life ceases to be an attempt to create and becomes a natural expression of who you are. Reality is no longer something to be molded, but something that reveals itself according to your degree of inner coherence. The fourth error is trying to control the how. The human mind, accustomed to effort, wants to dictate the path creation should follow. It believes that control is security, and that if it doesn't know the next step, nothing will happen. This is why so many get lost in the process. They begin to imagine the outcome, but soon after try to plan every detail of how it will come, where it will come from, who will bring it, and when. And at that moment, the flow is interrupted. Because control is born from fear, and fear is the negation of faith. The quantum field doesn't need instructions, it needs direction. You are not responsible for the path, only for the final state. It's like programming a destination into a GPS. You define where you want to arrive, but you don't worry about every turn or signal. Higher consciousness knows the route better than the limited mind. When you cling to the how, you interfere with the universe's work and block the synchronicities that were forming in your favor. It's like trying to teach a river to flow. Those who try to control everything end up creating resistance. The more force they apply, the more the field returns effort, because energy doesn't flow where there is tension. The act of controlling is a silent declaration of distrust. I don't believe this will happen naturally. And it is precisely this vibration that delays the process. The universe responds to surrender, not to vigilance. It moves through trust, not worry. True manifestation is an act of mature faith. It is the inner state of one who already knows that the outcome is inevitable and therefore does not need to interfere. When you define the realized end and feel it as true, creation reorganizes itself in an invisible and precise manner. People appear, coincidences intertwine, opportunities present themselves, all without you having to force anything. Divine intelligence takes care of the means, because the vibration has already announced the destination. Understanding this is liberating. It means you no longer need to expend energy trying to guess what comes next. The quantum field is self-adjusting. It operates based on vibrational coherence, not mental control. When you try to force the path, you act like someone who doubts the very law. But when you surrender, you prove that you have understood the principle. The invisible always knows the best route. Letting go of control is not giving up. It is trusting. It is the supreme act of conscious surrender, when the Creator recognizes that they do not need to push the universe, because it is already in motion. You don't need to see the path to know you are being guided. You only need to remain in the final state with conviction. And when that state becomes stable, the how reveals itself in the most natural, often unexpected, but always perfect way. The secret is simple. Stop trying to push the river and learn to float. When you let go, the flow takes you exactly where you need to go. And ironically, it is in this moment of total surrender that true power awakens, because the Creator does not control the universe. They command it through being, and one who is does not need to interfere. The universe simply obeys. Quantum manifestation has never failed. It is the human being who fails by trying to control it with the mind instead of experiencing it with consciousness. Because deep down, everything we call manifesting is just the art of remembering. Remembering that the universe is not an external agent, but the exact reflection of what you are inside. Everything that happens to you is merely the natural response of the state you have chosen to inhabit. If you live in fear, the world becomes hostile. If you live in certainty, the world becomes docile. If you live in lack, life echoes scarcity. But if you live in fullness, even silence conspires in your favor. People seek formulas, techniques, secrets, but the true secret is being. What you vibrate when no one is watching is what truly creates. Manifestation doesn't depend on how many times you visualize something, but on how deeply you feel yourself as that thing. What happens outside is merely the delayed photograph of what has already been accepted within. This is why haste and doubt destroy, because they keep alive the belief that it is not yet. And as long as that idea exists, the universe continues to obey. It is not yet. There comes a point where faith ceases to be an effort and becomes a natural state. At this point, the Creator awakens. They do not beg, do not repeat, do not observe signs. They decide. And the inner decision is the most powerful decree that exists. Because when the I Am is pronounced with conviction, creation has no choice but to align. The universe does not resist the certainty of one who already knows. So, stop asking for external changes. Stop waiting for confirmations. Close your eyes, breathe, and return to the center, where everything already is. Declare in silence, I am the state I choose to sustain, and remain there, firm, even when the world seems to contradict it. Because the contradiction is merely the old dying. Remain until the invisible becomes inevitable. This is true manifestation, not a game of techniques, but the awakening of the consciousness that creates. When you understand this, fear disappears, time dissolves, and the impossible ceases to exist. The universe, after all, is not something to conquer. It is something to reflect, and it will always reflect with perfection what you have finally allowed yourself to be. Don't breathe yet. Before you draw a breath, realize the power that moves the wind, that spins the stars and makes the heart beat, it is the same power moving within you now. Nothing happens out there without first being breathed in here. Breath is the portal between the invisible and the visible. Every inhale is a creation, every exhale a surrender. You think you breathe air, but it is the universe itself breathing through you. Most people live unconscious of this mystery. They breathe by habit, like someone merely surviving. But the awakened person understands that breath is the silent language of God, and that within it lies the secret to manifesting anything in minutes. You don't need to ask, you only need to breathe with awareness, like someone who knows the desire has already been fulfilled even before it was thought of. When Neville said that everything is a state, he spoke of what you silently emit, the vibration that emanates from you with every breath. The world does not respond to words, but to the way you breathe. If you breathe in despair, you create scarcity. If you breathe in peace, you create abundance. If you breathe like someone waiting, the universe keeps you waiting. But if you breathe like someone who already possesses, the universe confirms your state. This is the sacred science that modern humanity has forgotten. Breath is the bridge between the visible and the invisible, between the human and the divine. It is within it that thought transforms into flesh. It is within it that the invisible condenses and the impossible becomes palpable. Therefore, before trying to change the world, learn to breathe like a creator. Inhale the desired state. Feel it course through your entire body. Hold your breath, like someone holding an absolute truth, and then release it, not with doubt, but with the certainty of someone who has just decreed something that cannot fail. Do you want to manifest? Then stop begging, stop thinking, stop rushing. Close your eyes. Breathe like someone who already possesses what they desire. Because when one learns to breathe like God, the entire universe silently bows to serve them. The first breath that truly transforms is not the one you take with your body, but with your consciousness. When you inhale, the air doesn't just enter your lungs, it enters your inner field, carrying with it the vibration of what you believe yourself to be. And that's why the average person, even breathing the same air as the wise, does not manifest the same destiny. The difference is not in the breath itself, but in the state with which it is taken. With each inhale, you are silently telling the universe, this is what I accept as true. The air that enters is not neutral. It is shaped by your feeling at the instant you receive it. If you inhale with fear, fear spreads into every cell. If you inhale with faith, faith embodies itself within you. Therefore, when you breathe consciously, do so like someone welcoming a new state of being. Inhale slowly, feeling the air as if it were liquid light. See it passing through your body, illuminating everything that once vibrated with doubt. With each inhale, declare silently, I am what I choose to be. Feel the air carry this affirmation to the center of your being. Allow your body to respond, your heartbeat, the warmth on your skin, a slight shiver. These are signs that the invisible is stirring. You must understand that nothing that is breathed in remains without bearing fruit. Everything you inhale, sooner or later, manifests as experience. Just as air enters and becomes part of you, a sustained thought enters and becomes part of your reality. The person who lives unconsciously breathes in what the world offers: fear, haste, scarcity, anxiety, and, naturally, manifests the same. The awakened person chooses what they inhale. They breathe like a king breathes their own kingdom, not because they already see it, but because they already are it. When you inhale the air, imagine you are receiving the invisible substance of what you desire. If it is prosperity, feel the air as gold entering you. If it is love, feel it as warmth enveloping you. If it is healing, imagine the air as living energy restoring every cell. Do not treat this as fantasy. Treat it as spiritual reality. Imagination, when accompanied by conscious breath, is the language of the Creator. This is how you reconnect to the power you've always had. The power to order matter by the state you choose to sustain. Your mind will try to interrupt, saying you are just breathing ordinary air. Ignore it. Continue until your entire body seems to vibrate with the same resonance of the fulfilled desire. There is no force more powerful than the deeply felt sensation of possession. This is what separates those who merely dream from those who manifest. Breath is the first act of spirit upon flesh, and when done with intention, it becomes a decree. As you inhale, you are saying, "I receive," and the universe, obedient, responds with circumstances that confirm the reception. So inhale like someone accepting a gift. Allow the air to fill you to the limit of gratitude. Feel your body expand, not with oxygen, but with certainty. Whoever masters breath masters their own destiny. For every time the air enters, the invisible hears the command. And the one who knows this does not live reacting to the world. They create it, one breath at a time. The second key lies in the moment between inhaling and exhaling, that small silence most people ignore. This is the point where the invisible organizes itself, the moment when the energy of what you felt begins to take form. It is there, in that brief interval, that the common person loses power and the awakened one conquers it. Because while one fills the body with air and quickly releases it unconsciously, the other holds the air like someone sustaining an unshakable truth. It is in the silence between receiving and releasing that the universe hears your certainty. This moment is the secret temple where creation happens. No external force, no spoken word is more powerful than the feeling held in silence. It is in this space that the invisible bends before your inner state. Therefore, when you inhale the air of the desired state, do not rush to release it. Hold it, but not with tension. Hold it with faith. It is different to hold your breath out of fear of losing and to maintain it with reverence, like someone who knows they are holding the very life of the fulfilled desire. During this pause, close your eyes and feel time disappear. There is no yesterday, no tomorrow. There is only the absolute now, where everything already is. In this moment, you are not trying to create, you are recognizing what has always existed. The universe doesn't need time to respond. It needs a pure command, free from doubt. And this is what happens when you hold the air within you with tranquility. The command is given. This silence is not empty. It is the sound of God moving. It is there that the I am becomes flesh. Everything you sustain in this interval becomes a living seed. And the curious thing is, the deeper your surrender in this moment, the faster the outer world adjusts. It's as if the universe, sensing the weight of your certainty, says, "It is done." But be careful. If you fill this space with anxiety, with haste, with the need to see results, you cancel the decree. The pause should be rest, not expectation. When the heart is calm, the invisible acts with perfection. Train yourself to remain in this state even for a few seconds. You will see that your body begins to vibrate differently, your mind quiets, and something within you starts to expand. This expansion is the sign that the invisible is being shaped. The one who masters this pause is no longer a servant of time. They do not wait for the miracle. They contain it within themselves until the world reflects it. Because all reality is first born in the interval between one breath and the next. It is there that desire ceases to be imagination and becomes a decree. And when you learn to rest in this sacred moment, you will realize that it is not air you are holding. It is the very power of God breathing through you. The third key is the exhale, the moment of surrender. It is when the Creator releases to the universe the silent decree they sustained within themselves. And yet, it is also where most fail, because many release the air with anxiety, like someone fearing to lose what they have just built. But the wise exhale with calm, with the serenity of one who knows that what was decreed in the invisible is already being fulfilled in the visible. The exhale is the act of absolute trust, the symbolic gesture of one who delivers the completed work, without doubt, without attachment, without haste. When you release the air, the invisible world begins to move. It is in this moment that faith becomes silent action. Breath is not a physical exercise. It is a spiritual ritual. As you exhale, you release the assumed state for the universe to translate into facts. And the lighter this surrender, the faster the manifestation. It is not effort that creates, it is detachment. It is letting go with certainty, not with fear. Therefore, when the moment comes to release the air, do not do so like someone finishing something. Do it like someone blessing. Release it with reverence, like someone saying, "It is done." Feel the air leaving your body as if carrying with it the planted seed, the image of the desire already fulfilled. See this image being delivered to the world and trust that it will find the perfect way to manifest. The exhale is the symbol of the divine fiat. Let it be done. It is the moment when humanity, united with its creative consciousness, pronounces the invisible decree that the universe cannot disobey. No request, no plea, just knowing. Because when certainty is complete, the body naturally releases the air with peace. And that peace is the signature of power. Observe the cycle. You inhale like someone receiving, hold the air like someone creating, and exhale like someone surrendering. This is the rhythm of God in action, giving, containing, expressing. The person who learns to breathe with this awareness ceases to be a victim of life and becomes its author. Breath is the perfect metaphor for manifestation. The air enters invisibly and exits invisibly, but in the midst of this movement, life happens. So too is your desire. It is born invisibly, sustained within you, and expresses itself as reality. There is no other process. To exhale is to trust. It is to allow the universe to fulfill what you have already declared as true. It is the point where faith ceases to be a feeling and becomes creation. When you release the air with the same tranquility as someone watching the sunrise, the invisible understands there is no more resistance, and then the visible obeys. Do not force, do not rush. Release the air and feel the relief of someone who knows their destiny has already been sealed. Conscious exhalation is the gesture of the master who concludes prayer with the certainty of an answer. And when one learns to release the air in this way, the entire world bows before their calm, because the universe only moves in obedience to those who have already rested in the certainty of it is done. The fourth key is rhythm, the invisible pulse that governs all creation. Everything that exists vibrates to a beat, and whoever learns to breathe in harmony with that beat begins to command their own reality. The common person lives with short, irregular breaths because their mind is restless. They inhale quickly, release the air in haste, and their life reflects the same pattern: chaos, urgency, fear. But the person who understands the law breathes like someone dancing with the universe. Their rhythm is calm, firm, sovereign. Each breath cycle is a silent affirmation of inner mastery. It is not the air that gives power, but the consciousness with which it is moved. The air obeys the state obeys belief. When the mind rushes, the breath becomes shallow, and where there is shallow breathing, there is weak creation. But when the mind is at peace, the body naturally enters a flow that echoes the divine order. It is in this serene rhythm that the invisible organizes itself effortlessly. The harmony of breath is the harmony of manifestation. Rhythm reveals whether a person is master of themselves or a slave to appearances. One who reacts to the world breathes according to how the world provokes them. They accelerate when fearful, hold their breath when in doubt. But one who governs their inner self maintains the same rhythm, no matter what happens outside. They can be in the midst of a storm, yet still breathe like someone resting by a lake. This mastery is true power, because when the external perceives that your rhythm does not change, it bows and adjusts. The universe responds more to your rhythm than to your words. If your breath is calm, the world obeys you. If it is rushed, the world ignores you. Every breath is a command. The body speaks the language of the soul, and the air is the invisible voice that orders events. When you breathe with intention, time slows down, anxiety dissolves, and life begins to flow in an almost miraculous way. Breathe like one who governs, not like one who pleads. Inhale deeply, hold with peace, release with confidence. Allow each cycle to remind you that power was never in the future. It has always been in the now. Rhythm is the bridge between the invisible and the tangible, the continuous movement that transforms the inner state into physical form. Observe nature. The sea advances and recedes, the heart contracts and expands, the day is born and dies. Everything moves in perfect cycles. So too should your breath be. When you synchronize it with the rhythm of life, you begin to perceive that everything conspires in your favor. People, circumstances, opportunities. Because the universe recognizes in you the same harmony that created it. One who breathes in haste demonstrates distrust. One who breathes with tranquility demonstrates faith. And faith, when constant like the very rhythm of the heart, needs no proof. It creates the proof. Thus, maintain your rhythm like someone holding an invisible scepter. Breathe in peace, even when everything seems to be collapsing, because the world only reorganizes when it finds in you the stability it has lost. The fifth key is breath as the language of faith. Faith is not explained, it is felt, and the body is the first to respond to it. When you breathe, you are saying something to the universe, even if in silence. Every breath cycle is a conversation between the visible and the invisible. Most speak the language of fear, breathing short, tense, fragmented, and the universe responds with scarcity, with delay, with resistance. But the one who breathes with faith speaks the language of the gods, calm, deep, certain. The air enters as a promise and exits as a decree. Breath is the physical translation of the inner state. When you believe, the body expands. When you doubt, it contracts. It is impossible to deceive the universe because it doesn't hear what you say. It feels what you are. And breath is the most faithful reflection of what you truly believe. Therefore, when you inhale, do so like someone absorbing the universe's own response. Inhale faith, hold with gratitude, and release with certainty. This is the vibrational pattern that causes the invisible to move in your favor. Faith is not hope, it is possession. It is not one day it will be, it already is. Conscious breath is the act of assuming this possession, not with words but with feeling. When you breathe like someone who has already received, your entire body reorganizes itself. Your heart changes rhythm, your face calms, your energy rises, and the world, which is merely a reflection of this state, begins to mirror what you feel. This is true prayer, without supplication, without despair, just consciousness. Every breath is a silent affirmation of identity. The one who breathes like a beggar lives waiting for miracles. The one who breathes like a creator knows that they are the miracle. Conscious breath is the daily reminder that there is no distance between what you desire and what you are. The air that enters you is the same that moves the stars, the same that gives life to flowers, the same that sustains the cosmos. You are not separate from it. You are it in expression. When you understand this, every breath will become a ceremony. You will not merely be keeping your body alive, but reaffirming the presence of divine power in action. The person who masters breath is no longer dominated by anything. They traverse chaos with serenity, because they have discovered that the true temple is within the chest. And there, between one inhale and another, they hear the voice of God, not in words, but in sensation. The breath of faith is the end of doubt. It is when one becomes one with what they have always been. When you breathe today, remember, the air that enters is proof that life obeys you. Inhale the desired state until it becomes natural, as real as the air that sustains you. And then, as you release the air, know, the invisible is already fulfilling what you have decreed. Because when one breathes with faith, the entire universe holds its breath for an instant. and then moves to serve their decree. Now you understand. It's not the world that needs to change, it's your breath. Because the air that enters and leaves you is living proof that the creative power has never abandoned you. Breath is the link between humanity and the divine, the simple gesture that contains the mystery of all creation. When one learns to breathe with awareness, they stop begging for blessings and begin to command them. They do not wait for something to come from outside. They allow what already exists within to manifest. From now on, every time you breathe, remember who you are. Inhale like someone receiving the impossible. Hold it like someone sealing destiny. And exhale like someone decreeing the inevitable. Do this until the feeling becomes so natural that your body recognizes it as truth. Because when the body believes, the universe obeys. Everything you seek is already complete, merely awaiting the correct command. And this command is not given with words, but with presence. Every conscious breath is a silent decree that reorganizes matter around you. Therefore, ask no more, assume. Plead no more, declare. Wait no more, be. The visible world is merely a photograph of your inner state. When the state changes, the image changes. When one breathes like a creator, creation bows. So breathe deeply now and feel. The same air that moves the universe is moving within you. This is the sign, this is the remembrance. Do not beg for external changes anymore. Inhale the certainty that everything already is. Hold it like someone holding their own power. Exhale like someone releasing the final decree. It is done. And be silent. Because in that silence, the entire universe has already set itself in motion to confirm what you dared to assume.